you.
What is up? What's up, everybody? Come on in to the Rooted in Progress Stream Center. Oh, we got a good one
back.
for everybody today. We're back.
We're back.
We are live with the people today. Terrance,
Yes.
I'm your girl, Deanne King, your host of Rooted in Progress.
Yes.
Terrance, the good old co-host. How you feeling today?
I'm well. Just excited,
Yeah.
ready to get this show. What a fun show that we have coming up.
It
What
is a fun
I'm
show.
really looking forward to diving into the guests that we have and,
And the topic, more
And
than
the topic,
importantly,
absolutely.
today, you all know with the Rooted in Progress podcast, we are always talking about the progression of the Black community here in Tampa. So what we're doing is we're taking a look at the impact that Black Greek organizations have had on our community. It has been a historic impact, especially lately. Within the past year, we're talking about a multi-million-dollar impact on our local economy, all because of Black Greek-lettered organizations.
Yes.
And it's so fitting to talk about this today, Terrance. Why? Who we got in the house? Who's in the town? Who's in town?
we have the Omega Psi Phi Incorporated.
Yes, the good old Q. So if you're walking around Tampa today, tomorrow, throughout the weekend, you're going to see purple, you're going to see gold, you're going to see gold boots.
You're going to see hopping.
You're going to see hopping,
barking.
you're going to see camo.
Yep.
All the things.
Yep. It is going to be an absolute takeover.
Because the brothers of Omega Psi Phi, they are taking over Tampa. They
here.
have their international conference. It's known
Yes.
as Conclave. But we have a good brother of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity in the building with
sir.
us
Yes,
today.
sir. Yes, sir.
I have the honor and pleasure of introducing Brother Dennis Davis. He is the president. If you know Greek terminology, that's basileus in Greek terms of the Sarasota Bradenton chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity. How you feeling today?
I feel great.
You feel
great.
good? You
I
got
do.
all your brothers in town?
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
Y'all had a time last night. How was last night?
the comedy show was outstanding. We had Ricky Smiley,
Yep.
Joe Torre, D.L. Hewley, and they had an outstanding. And the venue is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a more beautiful theater than the one we were in last night. It was the Tampa
Theater.
Tampa Theater, absolutely gorgeous.
Yes. Tell the folks a little about you. You can talk right in your camera. Tell the folks about you.
Well, my name is Dennis Davis. I crossed in the fall of '84 at Ada Chapter, which is Alcorn State University in Lorman, Mississippi.
Come on.
I've been in Sarasota about 8 years, almost 9 years now, and I've been the president of the Sarasota chapter for the past 4 or 5 years, and we're one of the host chapters for our 84th Grand Conclave.
Wow, that is incredible. So y'all have been planning. How long you been planning?
Oh, wow. Well, this has been a circuitous route. We started back in 2018.
Okay.
We got the word that we would be having our conclave in Tampa for 2020. But, of course, a little thing called COVID came in. And
The good old panorama, as some people call it, the pandemic. It came in and infiltrated, huh?
Yeah, and it changed our plans. And so we went virtual to cut down on the possibility of people getting sick. And then we went to Charlotte for 22. And then we came back to Tampa for 24, and here we are.
Okay. Well, it just took a little time. We had to cook, we had to season it, make sure Tampa was ready, right?
Yeah, because the Kappas like to say they were the first. They were the first by default. Because of
Oh,
COVID, we were the
coming in hot, coming in hot.
They always follow us.
Coming in hot. That's how we started. Terrance, I
Yeah,
mean, you played a role in the Kappa Conclave.
Yes. Man, it was a red and white takeover last summer.
It was.
And man, it was good for the city. It was real good for the city. So
Yeah.
my thing is being, living in Tampa. Why Tampa?
Well, Tampa is a great venue, great location, great destination, and our fraternity is divided up into districts. And Florida happens to be in the mighty 7th district, where the 7th district runs the fraternity. So, well, that's a joke, but
It is.
it really isn't. But Tampa is a beautiful place. The location, the bay, the water, the hospitality, the welcoming of the people, the mayor. It's just an ideal place to host a convention.
Yeah. I mean, y'all have done so much work. We don't only have Brother Dennis Davis in the building. We have the president and CEO of Visit TampaBay, who has been a part of the planning process since 2018, Mr. Santiago Corrada. How you feeling today?
I am fantastic. It's been a long gestation, a long pregnancy.
For the pregnancy.
I remember presenting in Orlando in 2018 to present the bid.
Yeah.
And obviously 2020 didn't work out, so we've had some additional time to, like you said, season the destination. And it's all about relationships, right? So over the last so many years, since 2018, we've built a really, really solid relationship with the fraternity. And it actually started back in 2017 for us. And I know you're going to speak about the Pan-Hellenic Council.
Absolutely.
So when we get there, I can mention how it all started actually for us in 2017.
Okay.
With a little gathering we had in Tampa.
Come on for the gathering. Well, yes, we have the both of you. We are going to dive into the economic impact, the historic multi-million-dollar economic impact that the National Pan-Hellenic Council, Black Greek lettered organizations have had on our community due to these conferences that we have been having and bringing to Tampa Bay. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're also, of course, going to run down everything y'all could be involved in. The Qs, they're doing some great work. We're talking about volunteering. They have business meetings going on. They have a way to utilize and reach out to the youth. So we're going to detail all of the events that are stacked up for Conclave. But y'all stepped into the Rooted in Progress Dream Center, so we got to check some of your knowledge. We got a little game for you, yeah. So we got look. Dennis like, oh, here we go, here we go. Terrance, you want to start off with the first question?
I'll tell you what, we're gonna break the ice here too. So Dennis, you look a little nervous, man. So we're gonna loosen
Dennis
this.
Like, I got this. He said, I ain't new to this. I'm true to this.
Here we go. Trivia question. First question. You should knock this out. What was the first Black Greek organization?
Oh, yeah, that was easy for him.
Phi.
Yeah.
That is correct.
What? You didn't sound proud.
No. Phi, Alpha was the
Period.
first. Yeah.
And that was it.
That was it.
Cornell
That was it.
University.
Yeah, okay.
1906.
Okay, what a history. All right. Yes, for those who do not know, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first Black Greek lettered organization, fraternity that is, who is the first sorority?
Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. That is correct. My beloved sorority. So yes, that was an easy one.
And ladies and gentlemen, let me just clarify this. That was not a sound effects coming from yours truly. Oh man, Dennis left his phone on. Somebody's watching. Somebody's calling in, telling him, "Hey, what a great job, man!"
Right, you're doing such a great job. Or potentially like 20,000 people, 20,000 of his brothers are hearing somebody calling him like, "Where you at?" So either one, it could be one of the two. Santiago, we bringing you in here. Greek life. How many letters are in the Greek alphabet?
Oh my gosh. That's not right, because I told you I've been out of college for a long time.
Well, come on.
Lifeline?
You want a lifeline? You want to phone a friend?
Why don't you answer the phone call that Joe just received? I mean,
somebody may try to help Dennis out.
That Dennis just received, yeah.
Dennis, you have the answer?
Dennis, you know?
I do, but I think you need to squirm a little bit.
Oh. Okay, so think, Alpha. Okay, no, none of them. Okay.
Just take a guess.
Take a guess.
Man.
Come
18.
18. Okay, no, that's incorrect.
Tell them higher or lower.
Higher.
26.
Ooh.
Lower.
23.
Lower.
Help him out.
Come on.
Keep going.
21.
No.
20.
No.
All right. Why is my phone not ringing? Somebody need to be calling me. I got a lot of friends in this town. Somebody should be calling me.
Does Dennis know? Do y'all think Dennis knows?
I don't know. Of course I know. I just want him.
Thank you, Dennis.
He'll remember if he squirms a little bit. But
Dennis.
it's between 18 and 23, right?
No. Oh, you don't know.
Let's go ahead and give him the answer, Deanne. Go ahead and give him the answer.
The answer is 24.
I wanted the AKs to feel good today. So
that's what it was. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, so this one is for both of y'all.
Oh, no.
Dennis will probably know this one. What president is a member of a Black Greek organization?
What president?
What former
What
president?
former president?
Former president.
What former president
of the United States?
President Obama.
Okay.
Negative.
No.
No. That was.
Come on, Dennis. Ooh, we got them squirming.
Squirming.
Ooh.
Shout out to Naisha, our executive producer, for coming up with these questions.
Come on. What former president
I'm in the hot
Of a
seat.
Divine Nine?
of a Divine Nine? If you're alive tuning in right now, put it in the comments section. Let me pull up this live stream, see if anybody out there knows.
I know who it is.
You know who it is?
Yes, I do.
Who is it?
I think it was Bill Clinton.
Come on, there we go.
That's correct.
That is
My second
correct.
guess.
That is correct. Former President Bill Clinton. Do you know what fraternity?
Blue and white.
Correct. Oh,
He didn't know any better, but Phi Beta Sigma.
former President Bill Clinton is a member of Phi Beta Sigma International Fraternity Incorporated.
Learned so much.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. It took Dennis a little minute, though.
Well, I forgot about
that
Bill
was
Clinton.
fun.
I was thinking.
Yes, no. Former President Barack Obama is not a member of a Greek organization.
However, if he were,
what do you think?
Here it comes.
He would be
There's
here
only
this
one.
week.
There's only one.
He would
Okay.
be here this week.
Not the Divine Nine. He would be here in Tampa.
let's just say he loves the Omegas.
Oh,
We'll leave it at that. How about that?
okay. Mike
And we love
drop.
him too.
Mic drop. Hey, that was fun. Okay, so we learned some things. We learned
a
some
lot.
things. We recalled some things.
24.
Yeah, 24. 24. I don't think you knew it was 24.
Is that right?
I don't think you did.
Just like I didn't know Bill Clinton was.
You had
blue
to
and
think
white,
about
too.
Bill. You
I
had
did
to
have
think
to
about
think
Bill.
about that. I had to think about that for a minute.
Dennis, I want to dive into Black Greek life. You know, I think there's so many misconceptions. I think a lot of people, they hear or they might see these things and people are like, oh, is that a cult? Or, oh, is that against religion? There's so many people just misconstrue what Black Greek life is, what the National Panhellenic Council is. So tell folks a little bit about the National Panhellenic Council as a whole, and then the leg of Omega Psi Phi and what the fraternity, and honestly, what the fraternity means to you.
Got it. Well, the National Panhellenic Council is made up of 9 organizations. We have all the fraternities,
Yep.
A Phi A, K Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Phi Beta Sigma, and Iota. And we also have the AKAs, the Deltas, the Zetas, and the Sigma Gamma Rhos.
Yes.
And so it's a coalition of all the historically African American fraternities and sororities, and we work together in unison to do what we were all designed to do, which is to provide service. And so we are one of the members of the Divine Nine, with being Omega Psi Phi, and our whole goal and aim in life is to serve.
Yeah.
I mean, we lift as we climb is our motto, and so what it means to me is different than what it meant to me in the fall of '84 at Alcorn State.
Tell me about it.
What it meant to me in that fall of '84, I came on campus and I saw the Omegas, and I was like, "That's it. That they're the ones."
Was it the physical appeal, or was it the work that they were doing on campus? What was it?
I didn't know about the work they were doing on campus because I was in high school, and my sister was a Delta. She
Okay.
crossed at Alcorn State in 81. And so I was coming up on the campus and hanging out with the Deltas and the Omegas, and I saw the cohesiveness, and I saw the brotherhood, I saw the love and the way they moved, and I was attracted to it.
Wow.
And then when I got on campus and met them, it was just a natural fit for me. But I didn't know the extent of the service and what that meant when I was in college, and most of us don't.
Right.
We see that is the fraternity, they run the yard, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
Right? It isn't until later that you learn it's much deeper than throwing up the hooks or wearing the colors or having the best parties
hopping and
road
strolling.
tripping. And, you know, it's much, much deeper than that when you get into the service component. And so for me, the service component was a part that I did. We did service. You know, we did roadside cleanups and we fed the hungry and we did all this stuff in college.
Yeah.
But the brotherhood and the fellowship and the connections that you make, the lifelong connections that we make. And then and the beautiful thing is that it extends beyond college.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
That's one of those misconceptions. A lot of people be like, I was in a fraternity. And like with NPHC, baby, it's a lifelong thing.
Or it should be.
Exactly.
Right? And so, because you frequently will be asked, what were you in college? Well, it's not a word, it's what I am and what I will be for the rest of my life. And so the service is real, the connections are real, the fellowship is real, but the service, I think, is the glue.
Wow.
And without the service, All the other stuff to me is just nonsensical. You know, the barking and the stepping and all that kind of stuff is fine and fun, but if you're not serving,
right,
then what are you doing?
Especially when you're younger and your knees and your joints can handle all that jumping and popping.
Dennis still does that stuff though. Don't let him fool you now. He's still doing that stuff.
I do more watching than I do.
But you hit the nail on the head when you said the fact that it's all about the serving,
right?
The networking, the community, family, lifelong friendships, and brotherhood forever.
Exactly.
Right? It passes on from generation to generation. So
exactly. Yeah, some of my best friends on the planet I met through Omega Psi Phi.
Wow.
And that's why I'm a life member, and that's why I'll serve her until I die.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love being able to hear the stories because, like I said, so many people don't truly understand or grasp the concept and the importance of Greek life and what it can do for people. You know, sometimes people get, and I'm sure you may have some frat brothers who have these stories. They don't have father figures. They don't have brothers. They don't have mentors. And the organization provides an outlet for all of those things. And honestly, it provides a space for them to grow up. So many men pledge and join in college, right? Just like yourself. So you're able to go back to 84 Dennis and look at who he was and then see the impact that Omega did for you to where you are now, right?
100%. In fact, my line brother and I, Ronnie Griffin, also known as Astro 3. Astro 3, that means he's had two brothers before him that were Astro.
Okay.
All pledged Ada chapter. He and I went back in 2011 after the Conclave and Centennial Conclave in Howard, and we formulated Ada Alumni Association with the sole purpose of uplifting our undergraduate chapter to make sure they were always in good standings with the state, the district, the national, and international fraternity, so that they could have a bit more guidance than we had in terms of taking care of business, doing the right things, bringing in the right people, dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and just kind of building that bridge.
Right.
And so that had a huge impact on our undergraduate chapter. Yeah. Because some of the undergraduate chapters now are kind of don't really know their way because they don't. The older guys don't come back enough to teach, uplift, and encourage. Right. And that's desperately needed, I think, across the board, not with just Omega. I think with all fraternities.
Absolutely. I think I want to speak to a little bit of history as it relates to why, because some people be like, well, why has to be Black Greek organizations? And why you have to have a whole council just for the Black organizations? Well, if we go back to the 1800s when a lot of they're part of the Pan-Hellenic Council, other Greek organizations, Tri Delta, and all of those various sororities and fraternities, people who look like me and Dennis, we weren't allowed. We were not allowed in those organizations. So during that time, and because of our history and what our country unfortunately gave us and the cards that were dealt, Black and brown people were not allowed within those organizations. So what happened was you had like-minded people who looked like each other, who came together and wanted to create something special. So you found people who came together with different ideals, their stories, their passions, all again, like Dennis mentioned, with the goal of serving the community, and we were able to establish the National Pan-Hellenic Council. Are you able to speak to a little bit of history with that? Oh,
I'll bat it to you.
Oh, why you don't want to tell the people about that history?
Come on, 1908.
You don't want to tell the people why we couldn't join?
Why we couldn't join
the other before the National Pan-Hellenic Council existed, or before Alpha Phi Alpha and Alpha Kappa Alpha and all these organizations existed.
Well, not only could we not join these organizations, we couldn't even go to some of these schools.
That's it.
Right? And shout out to the Alphas at Cornell University for starting the fraternity on a predominantly white institution.
Absolutely.
But the first African-American fraternity was founded at Howard University in 1911. And so there, it's just our history, and which is really interesting. We act like we want to forget our history or whitewash our history, and it's not a matter of making anybody feel bad. It's about telling the truth, right? So that we can learn from where we came, so we don't repeat where we came from. Right. And we're starting to do some of that now with this new legislation and all the stuff that's coming down. So discrimination is real. It's not anybody crying and whining. It is what it is. And so we had to overcome and create our own lanes and create our own spaces so we could be who we needed to be without being excluded or being held to a much higher standard. Or, of course, they would every now and then they would allow certain people to come into certain spaces, but that had to be stressful to be able to have to walk and talk that way, to be able to assimilate, if you will.
You're right. And you bring up such a great point, and I want to bring Santiago into the conversation here. That's why to be able to say or have an Omega Psi Phi takeover or have a conclave here in Tampa, to have the Kappas have their conclave here in Tampa, to have the AKAs coming next year and have a regional conference, it is so instrumental. The Black dollar making a multi-million-dollar impact on a city like Tampa. Our founders didn't think about that in 1908 and in 1911. I mean, I'm sure they hoped for it, but no one ever thought about that. So Santiago, talk about what it looked like when those initial conversations were happening in 2017 and 2018, what it looked like in order to even host a member or an organization within the Divine Nine to come here for a conference.
We have great community members that are very supportive of our efforts and great team members. So back in 2017, our vice president of multicultural business development, Sherry Brown, said we should host the Pan-Hellenic Council in Tampa. And let's make it a fun event, just like this podcast has been so fun. Most people would agree that Tampa is the birthplace of the Cuban sandwich. So we said, why not have a competition between the Divine Nine to see who could come up with the best Cuban sandwich?
The Divine Nine loves a competition
so
now.
They do. And boy, we had some modified Cuban sandwiches. Some look like Cuban sandwiches. They taste like Cuban. I'm Cuban, so, it was interesting tasting of the judging that went on. But we started developing those relationships. And we've had two sorority sisters that have been international presidents right here in our community, Dr. Paulette C. Walker,
Carolyn
House Stewart,
yes.
That have been very instrumental in opening doors for us, Commissioner Gwen Myers.
Yes.
So after that gathering and us really focusing on developing those relationships, I made a commitment that we would have all of the Divine Nine experience Tampa in some way. Wow. And a lot of work goes into preparing bids and incentivizing and developing those relationships and that comfort level so the fraternities and sororities feel that we're welcoming, we can handle it, right? When you're experiencing 25,000 extra individuals in your community that might not be here. Normally, it's a lift, and we have to be prepared because we also value those experiences. We want the Kappas, the Omegas. We have some, the Alphas coming, Phi Beta Sigma. We're working on Zeta Phi Beta. We're working on a number because we're going to have all nine that we can accommodate in some way, shape, or form. Some are just too big for us, right? And we can host a regional, or we can host a board meeting or a leadership retreat. So we are going to have all of the Divine Nine experience Tampa. And you've talked about the economic impact. Right now, a very conservative number for us is just shy of $20 million. But we know when all of that happens,
then it's saying we're going up.
We're
taking this thing up.
We're thinking about 30+ million at the end of the day. So after our friends leave, we'll do all the calculations and know exactly what that economic impact is. And it's broad. It's the impact is broad, right? You think about the hotels first and foremost, and then you think of entertainment, and you think of food and beverage and transportation and how much it costs to get here and to go back home. But it's also the taxes that are collected by these visitors that impact the quality of life for all of us that live here. So whether it's the sales tax or the education tax, or what they do as far as impacting our community with book drives and financial literacy. I mean, all of that is good for us. And so at Visit TampaBay, we're not just relational, we're about bringing all people to experience this community, because the roots of this community go back to all people. When we talk about the founding of this city and people working side by side to make it the great city that it has become, we look to the past, to that history and that camaraderie and those friendships and that family atmosphere.
Right.
And so we are here to make sure that that continues. And so we are so proud when you go back and think 2017, and I saw some pictures this morning of 2017. My hair was darker, I looked younger, and then you jump to 2018 in Orlando. Again, the pictures looked a lot different than they look.
Huh?
But I got to tell you, I couldn't be more proud than today to finally see it happen. Just like last year when we hosted the Kappas.
Yeah.
It was monumental for us because, like I said, we've had board meetings, leadership retreats, regionals, but to have the conclave is very, very exciting.
So when you talk about economic impact, when the dust settled in Charlotte, which is 2020, we had an impact of $50 million on the Charlotte economy. This conclave, we have more participants than we've ever had. My goodness. So we're going to exceed $50 million in economic impact. Come on. That's a lot of impact on a city. And kudos to you and to the mayor for making this a welcoming city because we had conversations about not coming to Florida.
Let's talk about that.
We had serious conversations about that.
If you all haven't been a part of that conversation or seen those conversations, I know Terrance has also seen a lot of those conversations where fraternities and sororities, especially of the Divine Nine community, they did not want to come to Florida mainly because of the political climate here in our state. What do those conversations look like for Omega Psi Phi?
Well, we are a very leading African-American organization in America. And we're talking African-American men, black men. Mm-hmm. And to come to a state and into a city and have an economic impact of 50 million plus with the policies and the legislation that's happening with our current leadership, it was just an insult. We felt like, we should think twice about that. Mm-hmm. But the decision was made back in 2018 to come to Tampa. And our grand boss, he stayed in the middle of the road with it. He said, this is what we decided to do. We had very lively conversations about not having it here. And so what we decided was that, okay, if we're going to come to Florida, if we're going to come to Tampa, then we have to justify why we stayed, right? And that's why this conclave has been dubbed a conclave with a purpose. Not to say that the 83 conclaves we had before now didn't have a purpose, but the work we're doing with this conclave is different than we do at normal conclaves. At normal conclaves, we take care of the business of Omega Psi Phi. With this conclave, we're doing a lot of things in the community. Banned book drive, silent march, youth symposium, forums, community forums, and the list goes on. And it's not just for the conclave. These are things we started before, will happen during, and after the conclave is over. We'll continue with these efforts for this civic engagement to say, we're here, this is why we stayed, because we're men of Omega, and we're not going to run from this, but we're not going to come down here and bring our economic impact to a state and a city where the legislation is discriminative without making a stand, without saying something, without having an impact. So you're going to see the gold boots and the hooks and the barking and stuff, but make no mistake, we mean business. Absolutely. We mean business about voter registration, education, and mobilization. We mean business about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We mean business about banned books. We are serious about this. And so in addition to the business of Omega, we're also taking care of this business, which why we have dubbed this a conclave with a purpose.
That's incredible. Santiago, how do you think that speaks to the culture of Tampa, knowing that these organizations are having these tough conversations, right? And then they're realistic and real conversations. How do you think that speaks to the culture of Tampa, that they're still willing and able to come to a city like Tampa?
Well, I think it speaks to relationships and understanding the people of a certain city and where they've come from and how they embrace each other. People in some cases are their word means something, right? Mm-hmm. So when you make a commitment to each other, and I have to say, there have been lots of difficult conversations with lots of different groups that we've booked to have their conventions in Tampa, Florida. And we've not lost one citywide convention in the past so many years because we've already talked about our engagement back in 2018. we have built a relationship over 6 years to surpass anything that could come in the way of that economic impact and what it does for our people in Tampa. You know, it's about the quality of life here and how it's affected. And you've heard about all the great programming that's going to go on, but we've talked about the education tax, and that goes back to our children here and the jobs that it creates. You know, we're out there in the industry, and when a convention like this that has such impact affects hotels and the people who work in those hotels and the restaurants, they look like us. They're brown, black. Their families are doing better because this convention, this conclave is here. And so we take that also very seriously, how we're impacting the people who live here by what we do and not allowing, you know, conventions and groups not to meet here because, like I said, this community is about all people. All people. We welcome all people. You know, if we talked about the slate of conventions between now and September, you would say it's about all people here. Yeah. And so that's incredibly important. And it's up to us to tell that story and to engage and to understand how people feel. We were aware of some of the difficult conversations, and we're so grateful that we've all stayed committed to the cause and to being here in this community.
Yeah, it's a serious thing. And I think that's why even having this platform to dive more into how historic and important this is. Like you said, Dennis, to have a large group of African-American men making that much of an impact in a state in this political climate, that's incredible. That is remarkable. And it should not go unnoticed whatsoever. You said it best. Yeah, you're going to see the boots, you're going to see all the colors, you're going to see the hooks and all that other stuff. But what you all are doing in the community is remarkable. So give folks a rundown of what they can expect and what they can actually attend and enjoy while the Qs are in town.
Oh, my.
I got a list.
Oh, so I was like, I got a list for you. I got a list for you.
And that's why I had my phone on.
There you go.
Because I was using my phone to kind of see the list.
You didn't help me out with the letters, and you didn't help me out with Bill Clinton, but I'm going to watch out for you. I got the list right here.
I love it. I love it.
Amigo.
I love it.
So we have a lot of activities going on. When we call them the civic engagement piece, which is the why we're here, and that is we have a book drive.
Okay.
Where we have collected upwards of we're approaching 12,000 books.
Wow.
And brother Ed Freeney, who's been a rock star with the book drive, says we're going to hit 15,000. And if he says it, I believe it. And so we're going to give those books. You know, the books that have been banned, if you will, or, you know, taken out of publication and whatnot, we're collecting those and deliberately saying these books are important. You know, this history needs to be shared. The kids need to read about it. They don't need a watered down version, or they don't need to be told what you can and what you can't read based on what? People being uncomfortable, right? Yeah. So the banned book drive is a huge thing. We also have a youth symposium. That's going to be incredible. We are expecting about 500 youth.
Okay.
We're going to bring them in. We've got a dynamite panel of some enthusiastic people that are going to be talking to the youth, empowering the youth. We're going to feed them a nice lunch, and it's going to be something to see. The silent march is going to be pretty impactful as well. The brothers are going to be out there in mass. We're going to take a stroll. We're not going to say a lot. We're going to be wearing our shirts.
Okay.
You know, say
powerful.
You know, no to banning African American history. Yes to diversity, equity, inclusion. You know, this and that and the third. Just kind of making a statement and having a visible presence of why we're here and what's important and how we need to speak up against it. And when we have also we're going to have a community forum, which be the 6th in the series of 5. And this will be at USF. Actually, this evening at 7 o'clock, we have a dynamite panel. We have some senators and representatives. We have a dynamite a moderator and Brother D.L. Hewley. And we're going to talk about this climate, the voting and the legislation. And more importantly, in Santiago, as you know, in this last election, we got people registered to vote. We just didn't get them to turn out. So mobilization is a huge, huge piece. So we'll be talking about that. And then we have a financial symposium, And that's not
y'all do have a lot.
Yes, and that's aside from the conclave.
Right.
And that's aside from the parties and the white parties and the boat parties and the comedy
And that's
shows.
all today and tomorrow.
It's today and tomorrow.
Wow.
And that's all happening in addition to the things we're doing for the conclave. So there's lots of things. And these things are for the community. They're not for us.
Right.
They're for the community, and we want the community to come out and support us.
Yeah, all of the people tuning in right now, make sure you all take note of all of these incredible events. Or if you want to be a part and give back, is there a way that folks can donate books?
Yes. If they feel so inclined, they can bring books to the convention center.
Perfect.
And we'll take them. We'll collect them.
Okay.
We have a lot of books, and those books have to be stored somewhere. But we'll be distributing them to bookstores and libraries and across the city.
Yeah.
So,
just a question for the public, geared towards you, Dennis. If I'm not Greek, if I'm not Omega, and I want to be a part of some of your functions that you have going on, is that possible? And if so, how can we find a list or schedule of what can we attend?
So absolutely, positively. Everything we're doing is for the community. The only thing that is for the Omegas is the business of the conclave. And of course, you wouldn't want to be, because you would probably be bored to tears. but everything you want to know about the conclave and the activities, it's Tampa Conclave 2024. Tampa Conclave 2024. That gives you a list of everything that's going on. There's too much for me to mention.
Yeah.
It's so massive. But if you go in there and you can click on the different icons, and it'll tell you when, where, who, how. It's massive. It's exhausting. And so it's so to the point, we have brothers at the airport, we have brothers at the convention center, at the host hotel, and the brothers ask, what? And that's Tampa Conclave 2024.
Exactly.
Empower yourself, click
go.
on the website, and go through and see what we got. And that way we don't have to get it wrong with dates and times and locations.
Because if Deanne, if Dennis continues to go down his list, we may run out of time here on the stream. So Tampa Conclave 2024.
.com.
And a shout out to our Grand Marshal, Anthony Perkins. He's been in the cut. He's been working hard. He's a brother to cross in 89.
Wow.
And he's been saying that Tampa Conclave 2024 because everybody keeps asking the same questions.
Yeah.
And so
y'all are doing a lot, which says a lot.
We're doing a lot. And so if people will just type it into their browser and click on anything they want to know about the conclave, it's there.
I love it.
Perfect.
I cannot thank you all enough for being here, being able to educate, especially about the NPHC, the Divine Nine, and about brotherhood and about service and providing that service and rendering service to our community nationwide, internationally, is just remarkable. Talking about the economic impact that Black Greek organizations are making on our community. By the way, Santiago, can you speak to what was the impact from the Kappas? I think we have the Deltas here too.
We do. We have a regional with the Deltas coming up. We're a little too small to host the international. I went out to Houston one year to see it, and
it's big.
I learned that we would have a little bit of a limit problem. But around 20 million from the Kappas last year. Wow. And anytime we have a regional, anytime we have a leadership retreat, that's impact. It's impact and it's exposure, and it's again back to relationship building and building towards the future. So yes, our community has benefited quite a bit.
Those are big numbers.
They're huge,
especially in the, like I said, the economic impact for a city.
It's huge.
That's huge. That's huge.
I'm so proud.
Yes,
I'm so proud of us.
And I want to give a shout out again to the mayor.
Yes,
absolutely.
She's really on the right side of this.
Yeah,
and it had a huge impact on us deciding to stay. Just the welcoming, the understanding, the respecting of diversity, and the city, and your office too, Santiago.
Thank you.
You guys, those went into, that was part of our discussions. In a sea of red, if you will, Tampa was a place where we felt like we were welcomed.
Thank you.
And that's why, that's another reason why we stayed. So
that says a lot. Shout out to Mayor Castor, her office, Santiago, all of your hard work. We appreciate it. And I think this community, I checked in on some of the comments, people tuning in live, and they are glad that you all came. And so, of course, you got some haters out there, and I won't call y'all out either. But I think it's just so important to be seen and for people to take heed and learn that this wasn't just easy. Y'all just didn't show up and just flood here and want to come out and party. It's so much more than that.
Have those haters to go to Tampa Conclave 2024.
Period, Pooh.
And see where you can plug in and come experience for yourself what we're doing. Because some of us, it took a lot of convincing for us to support our own conclave. But once we made the decision to do it and to make this a conclave with a purpose, then some of us who were a little hesitant could say, okay, we can support this because we're not just coming to conclave.
Yeah.
We're also coming to impact the community.
There we go. That was a message for all the haters out there. Probably writing in a comment right now, just for you. Hey, we also want to thank everybody for tuning in and for joining us here on Rooted in Progress. This is our second episode. I'll have y'all know this is our first live episode. So yeah, going down in the history books. All of our Rooted in Progress supporters, we love you. We appreciate you. Make sure you like and share on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Tune in. We're here every Thursday, y'all, bringing you amazing conversations, incredible guests. Thursdays every week at 11 a.m. You can tune in, WFLA.com, download the WFLA app, or you can share, like, and add us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube. I'm your girl, Deanne King. Terrance, tell the people bye.
Hey, we'll see y'all at what time?
11 a.m. on Thursday.
On Thursday.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a great one. Take care.